Rumor is Caitlin Clark may be going to Europe instead of playing in the WNBA. If that does happen, what will be the impact to the WNBA's bottom line? Baseball playoffs are upon us, and it is officially time for baseball to make a change. And we're going to tell you exactly what baseball needs to do next. And Aaron Rodgers is a coach killer? I don't think I agree with that. That and more coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who is 100% the reason to blame for the Brewers losing in the playoffs, my dad, Tim.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
Where's Joe Boo shot glass?
Okay.
For those of you that didn't tune in last week, at the end of the show, I realized that Joe Boo's shot glass was missing. It may have gotten left at a Brewers live event. We don't really know what happened to it, but he lost it. He tried to replace it, and then the Brewers 2 days later end up losing in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the Indians are still playing.
They are still playing right now. It's the Guardians now. Thank you very much.
It was named after 3 Indians.
That is a question. Who does Joe Boo belong to? Because he obviously belongs to the Cleveland franchise, right?
Correct.
The movie was made about the Cleveland franchise.
Yes.
But the entire movie was filmed in Milwaukee.
It was.
So does it belong to the Cleveland franchise, or does it belong to the city of Milwaukee?
I think it goes to Cleveland, and I think the original and
the city of Cleveland can let me ask it this way: can the city of Cleveland claim Joe Boo? The Indians franchise or Guardians franchise can.
Correct.
But
I think Cleveland can. The story was about Cleveland. I think the actual real Joe Boo from the movie is in Charlie Sheen's possession.
I believe so.
He owns it.
I believe he stole it from the movie.
I would have too.
Apparently happens a lot where people steal things from movies.
If you're going to steal, if you're stealing something from that movie, I want Joe Boo.
Yeah, it disappeared for a long, long time. Nobody knew what happened to it, and then I think Charlie Sheen during the anniversary admitted that he had it. Which that's the guy. If you're gonna, who's gonna have it?
Yeah.
He should have it. Him or Tom Berenger,
or the guy who played
Serrano,
or
the pitcher who ended up having Joe Boo.
By the way,
it was very blasphemous. By the way,
it was. But do you know how many sports movies, that guy has been in?
The guy who played Serrano?
Yeah, no, the guy who played the pitcher, the spitball pitcher.
No,
he was in that one. He was in Rudy. He was in Hoosiers.
He was in Rudy. He was in Hoosiers.
Yeah,
he's Dan Devine and Rudy,
right?
And he was the assistant coach.
Well, he was going to take over as coach. He was just a parent.
Oh, that's right. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Still a great movie.
By the way, speaking of movies,
yes.
I know we have sports to talk about, but
a lot.
You know, I'm half the show, so I'm going to take up half the show. I watched Rambo: First Blood for the first time.
Okay, good movie.
It was very entertaining. Brian Dennehy, is that how you say it?
Yes.
I only see him from the
John Wayne Gacy
movie, and he still freaks me out. Again, movies you shouldn't allow your children to watch. Bad Father. Father.
He was also really good in Tommy Boy.
He was, but again, first movie I saw him was John Wayne Gacy. Bad Father.
Sorry.
Bad parenting, folks. Don't follow his lead. It and the John Wayne Gacy movie.
I had nothing to do with it. That's
up for debate. It's up for debate. You both blame the other. Doesn't matter. Bottom line, don't like clowns.
I have never watched it, so it's not me.
It's on the TV, and I still don't like clowns because of it, which is a sad thing, by the way, because clowns were such a happy thing when you were growing up. And they've been completely twisted now. Now they are the horror thing. And it's another reason why I don't like Halloween. They take happy things and make them creepy and ruin it for everybody. But back to Rambo.
Thank you.
Not what I expected, because people talk about how amazing this movie is. So I'm expecting a Rocky here. And it wasn't that.
Like I said, the first one was okay. My favorite of that franchise was the second one where he goes to Vietnam to try to take pictures of MIA soldiers who are actually still in prison, and he gets them out. That was a really good movie. That was
I'll have to watch the second one. I watched the first one. It started instantly. I love how they started the movie. I thought the speech at the end was very powerful and very true to what people who came home from Vietnam faced. But, well, from what I hear, obviously I wasn't there.
No, it's true.
But it wasn't, I don't understand the obsession with the movie. I understand the obsession with that one more than Scarface, because Scarface is just a terrible movie. I don't know why people enjoy it. But Rambo First Blood, it was okay.
It was okay.
It was good. Like you said, it was a good movie.
I want the second one you have to watch. I think it'll change you a little bit because I really enjoyed that. The third one, but I do want to see his new, it's a TV drama called Tulsa King.
Yeah.
That looks really good.
I've seen clips of it.
Yeah, that's all I've seen.
The clips are good, but I don't know about the whole TV show. It's gotten critical acclaim. Sylvester Stallone is a good actor.
He is.
He's been in a lot of cheesy movies, which painted him for me as a kid. But if you actually go in and watch the movies where he's serious, like Over the Top is a guilty pleasure movie for me.
That's a great movie.
That is an outstanding movie.
He's also a great writer.
I think it was named Over the Top because of the child actor in that, because he was very over the top.
Stop it.
He is a great writer. Well, he wrote Rocky. He wrote all the Rocky movies, I think.
Except for 5.
No, he wrote 5.
Well, that doesn't exist.
But he wrote 5 where Rocky died.
Yeah.
He was done. He was killing the franchise.
Rocky 5 does not exist. It goes from Rocky 4 to Rocky Balboa.
That's fair.
My world, that's the way it is.
That works. Didn't he change the name because that gave him ownership of that movie?
No, I don't think he is the character. I think the Irwin still.
I know they own the Rocky movies.
Irwin Winkler, is it?
Yes. Yeah. I know they own the movie, like the Rocky, but I thought he changed the name because
he owns the name Rocky Balboa.
Because those are his movies now. Like Creed is his movies now. I don't know how that works. If you know, let us know in the comments below. On to sports.
Yes.
There's a huge rumor going around, and I have tried to verify this rumor for the last 3 days because I knew we were going to talk about it on this show, and I can find nothing. There are plenty of videos saying Caitlin Clark is going to Europe, but I have not found any validity to this rumor at all.
I think she's on vacation in Europe.
Well, and there was question, will in the offseason she go and play in the European League? Because a lot of WNBA players do. They make more money over there, I guess.
Much more.
Is it?
Yeah. I think it's like, I think I saw one short where some players over there are making like $750,000 and they're making $85,000 in the US.
I know Brittany Griner doesn't leave the US anymore. I know that for a fact.
With good reason. Look, if I'm so upset with the WNBA and their players because they treated Caitlin Clark like crap all season. They beat her to death. Well, not to death literally, but they really slammed her. And the referees gave her no protection.
That's the weird part. Because you see the NBA always protects their stars, even the young stars. If you're a top 5 pick, you know you're going to get some calls coming your way.
Right.
Caitlin Clark got none.
Absolutely none. You can claim she wasn't scratched in the eye. I still think it was on purpose, but she got hit in the head. She was a moving target.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the WNBA realized that this chess piece could be played, to be honest with you. I don't think they ever imagined this, because here's the thing. The game 2 of the finals, or in the playoff game versus the Connecticut Sun, drew 2.5 million viewers.
I was one of those sets of eyes.
The entire East Coast finals of the Liberty versus, I don't even know who they played, to be honest with you, but I know the New York Liberty won, drew under 1 million views per game, and it dropped off the longer it went.
And in the West, there was one game, the Suns and the Lynx, when they played them, game 1, barely drew 650,000 eyes. I mean, it went off a huge drop off. It went off a cliff.
Yeah. I mean, just in the Eastern Conference Finals, it was a drop off of 1.5 million viewers per game. Per game.
There's a lot of jealousy in the WNBA. Somebody needs to take hold of them and, like the NBA, go, the players are our product. And we've got a combination, Pete Maravich, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, however you want to call it. She's got more skills than anybody who's ever played the game in the WNBA. She can do things that others haven't done.
Because she plays an NBA style game.
She does. And she's also very accurate from three. Her passes are there. You better start paying attention. This is your star. This is the reason you're not on commercial flights anymore and you're in charter flights. She goes to Europe, you're back to flying commercial.
In 2 seconds flat.
The league may fold.
I think that they're okay with it, though. I mean, there's times where I'm like, they'd rather go back to that than have Caitlin Clark in their league, which is so weird to me.
It's about as petty as
brand.
It's about as petty as you can get.
Yeah, for sure. You have a chance to build something for generations to come, and you're worried about the fact that you're not the star in this league. And I can only assume that's what's happening right now.
It seems like it, and she's going to sign huge Michael Jordan type marketing deals.
Sure has.
Well, she has, and they're going to continue because she is the star.
Well, and here's the other weird thing. She signed this big deal with Nike, right?
Mm-hmm.
She won Rookie of the Year unanimously. Nike silent. Absolutely silent about her winning the Rookie of the Year. That is one of your big stars of your brand, and you're not shouting out from the mountaintops that she won Rookie of the Year?
Every little girl's wearing a number 22 jersey. They should be marketing this everywhere, just like an I Like Mike. Come up with something for Caitlin.
You'd think, but it's a weird situation that I've never seen before when a star comes into a league.
I've never seen it in a male sport. I've never seen it in a female sport, to be honest with you.
I've never seen it in a workplace before. Let's be honest. If you have a top performer in your workplace, you treat them like a top performer in the workplace. Like, that's how you keep your best employees around. Well, Caitlin Clark is an employee of the WNBA. You think you'd want her to stay. But again, I don't think they ever in a million years thought, oh, she could go and play in Europe full time.
If she does, the money will continue, and the WNBA will just be an afterthought. And it's sad.
It's an interesting world we live in. I don't know, man. But you let us know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. Speaking of enjoying making things, the baseball playoffs are upon us, and quite a few years ago, probably
very beginning of the show.
Well, we made this even before then. We made this before my son was born, so probably 15 years ago. We made the Carney plan for baseball, sent it to Bud Selig, got a nice letter from Mr. Selig himself saying, hey, this looks cool, and then never heard anything again. But we had an idea, especially around divisions, and this is where I think baseball really needs to make the next change. Playoffs are seeing huge ratings, mainly because the LA and New York market are a part of it. But there's a way you can make this even better and make it about winning. I hate the wild card.
I do too. Baseball has always been, you have to win to get in.
Correct.
I mean, back to the days where there was only National American Leagues. You better win or you're not in the World Series.
Right. It went from there was no playoffs. Top teams just went to the World Series where the regular season really mattered. And then it went to you had divisions. Yep.
East
and
and West.
It was two teams.
Yeah.
Made it to the NLALCS, and that was around forever. And then it went to, we're going to split up these divisions, just the division winners get in. Now it's 4 teams, and now we're to 5. Now we're on to 6.
It cheapens the game, and it makes it much more like the other sports. Baseball is special. Baseball is different. You've always, winning means everything in baseball, especially when you play such a long season.
Right.
You have to win, and that's the center of our plan.
It is. It is. So I'm going to show you something here. Because what we have is these are our divisions we're looking at. This is how we would break it up. You'd have 5 3-team divisions. And I know we've talked about this on the show a lot, but it's such a good idea, and I want to make sure it gets out there. 5 3-team divisions. You have to win your division to get in. And what I like about this is it's 3 teams.
Yeah. And so, like, for those who are going, well, it can't just be 3 teams. Yes, it can. It gives you a 1 in 3 chance every year.
4.
Football's 4, and it makes you pay attention to every division.
Well, it breaks it up because one thing you're not going to get in Major League Baseball is a salary cap. It's not going to happen. And so you need to find a way to make it, because it's not fair to sit here with the Rockies who don't have the money, with the Brewers who are a small market team, with the Cubs who are a big market but don't know how to spend their money and never get in.
And the Yankees and the Phillies and Boston.
They're going to spend all that they can.
Dodgers.
The Dodgers,
Giants.
they almost have $1 billion roster now. And so you have to find a way to break this up while keeping rivalries intact. And this is a way to do it. And so if you see on here, we have the Dodgers, Angels, Giants together. You keep that Dodgers-Giants rivalry together and throw the Angels because they're an LA team. Cubs, Sox, Cardinals makes sense to me. Orioles, Marlins, Braves is a different one. You're going to take away some rivalries there, but you're going to move them to the National League. Diamondbacks, Padres, and A's, because, again, this is geographical as well and keeps them together. And then on to the American League. These are the ones that I really like. Rockies go to the American League with the Mariners and the Royals. 3 smaller market teams. Granted, Seattle's a little bit bigger, but it gives an excuse for Seattle to spend a little bit more. And it makes the Rockies and Royals really have a chance in this. The Blue Jays, Brewers, Twins, that's just an old American League East division. Astros, Rangers, and Rays. Rangers can spend. They don't. Same with the Astros. Rays kind of get lumped in there with them. Yankees, Mets, Red Sox. This is the one, anytime we've brought this up, that people really seem to hate because you're going to make it so the Red Sox or Yankees don't make it into the playoffs every single year.
Oh, wow.
That's how it used to be.
Yeah, and they don't make it now. Red Sox aren't in. The Mets would, using this, the Mets wouldn't have made the playoffs this year.
They would have last year.
Right.
They would have last year. And then the Reds, the Guardians, and the Tigers are together. Again, great rivalry together. It gives all of a sudden that Ohio rivalry there with Cleveland and Cincinnati, and Detroit's lumped into it.
And we also should say, yes, we are splitting it and regrouping the American and National Leagues because they really don't mean as much anymore with the DH, and they play interleague play anyways.
They don't mean a thing at all. You're playing them, like you said, the DH is across the league. That's another thing people had trouble with. A lot of people had trouble with us putting the Orioles in the National League.
Big time, because it's an ancient team.
It is.
Got it. Understand it.
What have they been around since the 60s?
Something like that. But I mean, the Orioles, Baltimore has had baseball since Babe Ruth was there. And
that's true. But they were a National League team when Babe Ruth was there. They were the Braves.
Correct.
Or they were the Boston Braves.
Boston Braves.
Who was the Baltimore
No,
team?
the Boston Braves went from Boston to Milwaukee, Milwaukee to Atlanta. Who were the Orioles?
Orioles are an older team than I believe.
They may have been an expansion that came from someplace else.
They may have. But either way, we are
digress.
breaking this up. But if you look historically at these divisions, once every 10 years, you're having every single team make the playoffs from these divisions. That's also why we divided it up this way. We actually went back to the 70s on this and saw once every 10 years, every single team makes in the playoffs. And every single decade, you had a different team dominate, right? The Phillies would have dominated this decade quite a bit, but the Nationals would have won one at this point, and even the Pirates would have been in. The Pirates would have dominated at one point. It would be a swing, so you'd always have different teams in the playoffs. And we took a look at the playoffs as well, and you can see that here. The only teams that are in the playoffs now that wouldn't have made the playoffs in our new setup would have been the Mets and the Tigers, who the only reason they're in the playoffs this year is because they were the 6th seed.
Correct. So really, they shouldn't have been in the playoffs anyway.
Correct. Cardinals make it in. They're really the only new team in this. Everybody else pretty much stays the same. Cardinals make it in because, and it would have been the Cardinals or the Cubs this year. They ended up tied. It would have been one of the two. I'm putting the Cardinals because I don't like Craig Counsell. But it would have definitely changed how they played later in the season, and September would just be division games.
Yes. And
you set this up where September is just division games against each other.
The other thing, the change that goes along with this has got to be a change to force the owners to spend money. Now, this alone will make the owners have to spend money because there's only 3 teams. The Pirates owner, one of the worst human beings in the world, Bob Nutting, would have to spend to try to keep up with the Phillies or the Nationals.
Well, this follows what the NFL did, right? The NFL put in a rule, 6 years ago now, where they said after so many years, you have to spend 75% of your salary cap. You have to be there because the Jaguars were really lowballing every single roster they had. They were consistently, for I think almost a decade straight, the lowest payroll in the NFL. And the NFL said, no, this isn't going to happen. We need you to spend. We need you to try and be competitive in this league. Baseball needs to do the same thing, especially with revenue sharing the way that it is. The fact that there's nothing on revenue sharing stating that some of this has to go to the players is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I've said it for a long time. I think local media revenue also needs to be shared, maybe on a 60-40 percentage when they're traveling.
It's starting to change, and I don't know if you saw this. I saw this right before we went on air. Did you see what happened with the Brewers, the Twins, and the Royals?
No.
So they're going to Major League Baseball as running their media rights because Bally Sports, which was bought out by Diamond or whatever, I think it's Diamond Bally Sports, is Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
They've got to do something.
And so the Brewers, the Twins, and the Royals signed on with Major League Baseball, which means no blackouts anymore.
Which is awesome.
And they get to control it from their app at this point.
And now baseball can market it even more as a national thing. I mean, I get it. The Yankees have the Yes Network.
And it's an independent thing, but I know the Cardinals are one of them, and the Braves are one of them. They get to keep the Braves. That was part of their Chapter 11, but all the other ones they had to give up the rights to. It was like 10 other teams. If you can slowly bring those guys into the fold of Major League Baseball, all of a sudden, all those rights go up, all of them come back down. It's an even split, and now you have competitive teams across the board.
Which is what it should be. It's what makes the NFL so great, and the fact that teams are always rotating in and out of the playoffs.
But they also saw that teams weren't spending, and so they made a rule saying you have to spend. And that is what is missing in baseball right now, because you do have owners, Pirates owner Bob Nutting, who just cut a player 2 weeks before the end of the season, so he didn't get a $200,000 bonus.
Rowdy
Tellez. I mean, how is that allowed in baseball? How is the baseball union not suing the Pirates right now? And maybe that's coming, but that should never be allowed. He was 4 plate appearances away from getting a $200,000 bonus.
And in baseball, $200,000, while it's a lot of money, it's not that much.
It's a lot of money to a player.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a drop in the bucket for a $1 billion owner.
Correct.
I mean, it's a guy who literally took a historic franchise, a historically great franchise that has some of the best players in history to ever play on that team, a fan base that loves their team. And you basically say, I hate you guys. Thanks for making me rich.
Exactly. I mean, the Pirates, I remember from the We Are Family Willie Stargell Pirates of the late
worst
70s.
Hats of all time.
I don't care. They were also some of the best hats, and they had the Stargell Stars. That was a team that came together and won when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And now the Pirates are an afterthought, and that needs to be changed.
It does. You should have something with a stipulation, and it's where Bud Selig, I think, again, failed when he did this because he didn't see this coming. He should have seen this coming and made that change that put stipulations in place that said, we need to make sure we're spending on players. Now, I don't know if he put that stipulation in there, if the owners would have agreed to it. I don't. But it's for the better. You need an owner for the betterment of the game. Mara did that for the NFL.
Correct.
So this is for the betterment of the league. You need an owner like a Steinbrenner or the owner of the Dodgers to look at all these teams and say, listen, this is for the betterment of the entire Major League Baseball organization.
Well, one of those owners has to realize and step up and say, we don't exist without the Milwaukees and the Minnesotas of the world.
Correct. And then it makes it more of a national game. I think them moving these teams under the MLB umbrella for games and for revenue rights is brilliant because I think it's going to make it more of a national game. The issue you have with ESPN is they're cutting deals with the Yankees individually, not Major League Baseball.
Right.
And so the Yankees, Cubs, and Cardinals and Red Sox are always on Sunday Night Baseball.
And they always are.
Listen, as a Cubs fan, it's great. I get to see the games, right? Not this year. Didn't really care this year. And probably won't until Craig Counsell's gone. I hope they lose every single game. I've made that clear. He's ruining baseball. I can't stand the guy. But you have to start to alternate to see all these different teams. Thursday night football is always something different. Monday night football is always something different. Sunday night football is always the Cowboys. But that's a different story for a different day. Baseball needs to start to see these other teams really shine and make this more of a national sport again. This also change within the divisions makes it more of a national sport.
Yes, because right now the only truly national player is Ohtani.
Yeah, and what a player.
Oh,
what a player.
He is incredible. I love, by the way, home run in the playoffs, and he did the bat chuck, which I loved. But right now, you've got what? Aaron Judge is a national player that's got national visibility.
Yes.
There aren't many of them.
None of them are pitchers.
Which needs to change. And I think Manfred's taking steps. I don't like his plan, but I like the idea.
I like his plan. I think it's something you have to do because you have to look at the generations coming up and say to these dads that are telling their kids they need to throw 97 miles per hour and telling those dads saying, you better make sure your kids have 5 pitches as they're coming up because they're going to be stretched.
And they were ruined for a generation, so it's going to take a generational fix. I get it. And
it is. And that's a generational fix. It's going to hurt for a little while. You're going to see injuries. I honestly think you'll see injuries on the decline in baseball.
I do too.
Because you're not throwing as hard all the time.
You can't throw as hard.
Right.
You've got to develop another pitch.
I would rather see a kid throw a curveball than try to throw as hard as he can every single pitch.
I don't want to ever see a kid under 15 throw a curveball. But I
agree with you.
I don't want to see him trying to throw so hard he throws his arm out.
Seeing these kids in the Little League World Series this year trying to throw as hard as they can to try and hit 80 on that miles per hour gun broke my heart. It's like, well, that's your shoulder right there.
Yeah, they're never going to make it up. Doing preventative Tommy John surgery, which is ridiculous.
It is.
We've got to teach these kids how to pitch. Go back to the day when Warren Spahn famously said, look, the next day I wrapped my arm in ice. The next day I ran until the pain was gone. The following day I started throwing to get ready for my next time on the mound.
Yeah, but he was a man.
He was a man.
He was a man. I do want to point this up again because I do think this is important. And I think this would really help baseball. So to check out these divisions again. And what makes this unique is that you have teams like the Diamondbacks, Padres, and A's, 1/3 chance every single year to get into the playoffs. It changes the way you look at the offseason. If you look at the Orioles, the Marlins, and the Braves, Orioles have been a bad team for a long time. They're finally starting to play right. The Braves would have dominated this in the 2000s. In the 2010s. Now the Orioles are starting to dominate it, and that's that curve we're talking about. You look at the Reds, the Guardians, and the Tigers. The Reds 2 years ago would have made the playoffs.
And you know what I'd really like to see? And what I think would happen if you go to this? The offseason and the hot stove league becomes important again, and the trade deadline kind of goes away.
It's the other issue with baseball I have is that the trade deadline has absolutely gotten out of hand and is another thing that is destroying baseball. Because off-season hot stove league was every single team's like, how is my team getting better to try and win a World Series this year? The trade deadline is either how is my team ransoming their future for a star player to try and win this year, or how is my team trying to build a future by completely giving up this year so I shouldn't even pay attention.
Or it was like in 82. We heard the story when we were at the movie premiere. Don Sutton came over, but he came over for cash. He was a guy at the end of his career. He was really there to try to get to 300 wins, but he still had a great arm. It wasn't having to give up all of your prospects.
I think they gave up a player to be named later who really didn't do anything, but it was cash consideration.
Right.
Which is a weird thing in baseball that happens, which is like how much, and then you just pay. But that's a different story. You look at the NFL, what makes the NFL offseason so great? The free agency is so hot because every team is wondering who's going to be signed to make my team better.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to get better. The trade deadline doesn't exist in the NFL. It's not a thing.
No, very rare do you see a big deal. I'd be interested to hear what the viewers say about our divisions or what they would like to see the divisions be.
Yes. Do you want to try it this time?
No, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
Because you've been scolding me, and I want to make sure you have your chance. Go for it.
Nope.
You let us know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. Speaking of, you could.
I could, but you whined when I did it once, so I'm going to let you do it.
It was so bad.
Well, it was that.
But you're not practiced enough. I should give you more of a chance.
No,
Equal opportunity. I am not ageist, despite you being 1,000. Speaking of trade deadlines, the NFL trade deadline actually may become something pretty special this year because Davante Adams may be on the trade market.
Davante Adams has made it pretty clear he wants out of Las Vegas.
He does.
He's been sitting out of practice. And
he's hurt.
He's hurt, yes, but he's made it pretty clear he wants to be catching passes from somebody else.
And it sounds like it may be Aaron Rodgers, who has been labeled now as a coach killer.
Well, yeah.
Who has he killed?
Mike McCarthy.
Okay.
This is the second coach in Rodgers' tenure as a player that he's gotten fired mid-season. Robert Saleh was escorted out of the building.
He's a big, scary guy.
Okay, what's your point? I think he's man enough and professional enough to walk out.
If you fired Robert Saleh, would you not have people there?
I just look at him and go, "Do you want your checks?"
Oh, that is a fair thing. Yeah, and that's sad to see somebody escorted out of the building, but I don't know what led up to that.
I don't either.
There has to be more of a story. The question is, though, how is this Rodgers' fault?
Look, you said it the day he was drafted. He would be a bigger diva than Brett Favre.
I did say that.
And he is.
I was right.
The man
surprise, surprise, Kyle was right.
This is why you get the comments you do
That's fair.
on the shorts.
I accept it. I laugh. I think there were a couple that were pretty funny this week. I was very excited about them.
So Rodgers, while he's got more talent in that arm than anybody who's ever played the game, has not looked good. He's a 40-year-old guy right now. He wants things his way, and he's relying on Nathaniel.
He wants his receivers to be on his same page.
Well,
he's throwing balls, and the receiver's not there.
Does he work with him in the offseason? No, he doesn't. He didn't do it in Green Bay. He's just like, I'm Aaron Rodgers. You will run what I tell you to run.
Well, and I think that's why, when it comes to Devontae Adams, he wants that jet connection with his old buddy, because those two were on the same page completely, and that would change that Jets dynamic 100%. And I don't think it has anything to do with Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is a defensive guy, and that defense has been playing really well.
Yeah, they promoted their defensive coordinator as a new head coach.
I think a big issue is Nathaniel Hackett, who is very unoriginal in his play calling.
Completely, and he's also Aaron Rodgers' buddy.
He is, but I mean, he's the reason that they're not doing well. These play calls suck, and the receivers not being on the same page with their quarterback has more to do with coaching than it has to do with Aaron Rodgers himself. Mike McCarthy wasn't holding his players accountable in Green Bay towards the end. The penalties had gotten through the roof. There were stories of people being late to the airplane and nothing being said about it. That's why Mike McCarthy got fired. If you look at Robert Saleh, you have players that, again, there's a lot of penalties on offense, and you have receivers running the wrong routes. Like it or not, that falls on the head coach.
Sure. I also think that Rodgers is a de facto general manager, head coach on any team he's on. And
he's a diva.
And the problem is he shouldn't be. I do think he needs an offensive-minded head coach to put him in the right positions. He did very well with LaFleur the first couple of years.
He did.
He did great with Mike McCarthy for the early part of his career.
He did.
And if I'm the Jets, I go and get a Mike Vrabel and bring him in.
He's a defensive guy.
I don't care. He did wonders up in Buffalo.
In Tennessee.
Or Tennessee, rather. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. That would be a great sign. I mean, who's he with now? He's helping somebody out.
He's helping somebody out.
I don't remember who he went to. He would be an outstanding sign for them. I don't know if you can do it mid-season, though.
No, he's not going to.
Could you bring in... Could you?
Not Belichick.
Could you make a phone call to a guy who spurned your organization oh so many years ago and get Bill Belichick to come and coach your team?
Would Rodgers put up with Belichick?
Would Belichick? Yes, because those two are actually close. Don't forget, those two like each other a lot.
Okay, fine. Belichick cannot be allowed to touch player personnel.
He only built how many Super Bowl winning teams?
Granted, but that was early in his career. He was very bad at the end.
Okay. I'm going to defend this for a second here. Dude couldn't draft. Okay. That was a thing for a long time. But he wanted to move on from Tom Brady and get more assets and start Jimmy Garoppolo. And the owner said no, which means the owner put him in a position to wager his entire future to win Super Bowls now with Tom Brady, which worked, but we are seeing what that led to. Belichick tried to prevent that, but the owner wouldn't trade Tom Brady.
That's why the owner should never be involved in the
won
football
him 3
team.
more Super Bowls, man.
I understand that. I understand, but who knows how many they would have won if they would have made the changes at
who
that
knows?
time.
And they could have built out even farther down the line.
Let's get back to the Rodgers.
To say Bill Belichick isn't a good personnel guy, I hear this all the time. The guy built Super Bowl winning rosters and tried to prevent what happened to the Patriots, and the owner wanted to make sure Tom Brady was taken care of. Not a wrong decision, but did end up causing what happened at the end of Bill Belichick's tenure. He could come to the Jets. He always wanted to coach Aaron Rodgers. This gives him the opportunity to do that. Another guy that's sitting out there who won't go because he really likes being on the college game day is Nick Saban.
Yeah,
Belichick is also getting comfortable in his role with ESPN.
I liked what he said last night about Taylor Swift.
What did he say?
Just basically was shaking his head, and it's like too much.
It is too much.
But
you and I are on the same page.
Getting back to this, and I'm going to tie this into something that happened in Green Bay this week because Romeo Doubs didn't show up for practice last week.
Yeah.
On Thursday and Friday, so he was suspended for a game.
Correct, as he should be.
Romeo Doubs is a kid.
Yes.
He's a young man that made a bad mistake.
Yep.
However, it's going to affect the team.
Yep.
Would the Packers be willing to make a call, admit that they made the bad decision, and let Davante Adams go and go, hey, Raiders, how would you like to have Davante Adams and maybe even Christian Watson, who's always hurt?
Romeo Doubs, you mean?
Yeah. Sorry, what did I say?
You said, how would you like to have Davante Adams?
Sorry. Packers call the Raiders and say, hey, we'd like Davante Adams. Here's Romeo Doubs.
There you go.
And Christian Watson.
Your senile is showing.
It's been a long week already.
Fair. I would make that trade in 2 seconds flat. Even if it's Luke Musgrave you have to get rid of, I would make that trade in 2 seconds flat. You have a Raiders organization that needs to completely build. You have a Raiders organization that has made several coaching mistakes now, and they're still paying for them.
But let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Davante Adams comes to Green Bay,
yeah,
which is not going to happen, by the way. Goody will never make that trade. But if he
then he's a bad GM.
If he did, you've got Reed on the team, who is by far and away the number one receiver on that team.
Yes.
Davante Adams is going to demand the ball. Is there enough balls to go around?
Yeah, because Wicks can't catch.
He can catch.
No, he can't.
He had a bad
Clifford
game.
Franklin.
He had a bad game.
He is Clifford Franklin from the replacements. Can run as fast as anybody in the league. How many balls are we going to watch this guy drop that hit him in the hands?
I was more impressed.
Jaden Reed made an over-the-shoulder catch where he's literally blinded by the defender, and Wicks gets one right here and drops it.
I don't want to hear anybody say that Jordan Love can't throw the long ball anymore, because that was as pretty as anything Favre or Rodgers had ever thrown.
That was pretty.
It was.
Yes, there's enough balls to go around. There's always enough balls to go around.
Or would Davante Adams want to go to Kansas City? I don't know if they have enough trade.
There's no way the Raiders make that trade.
Not in division.
Not to the Chiefs. I'm sure he'd love to go and catch balls from Patrick Mahomes.
How about to Jaden Daniels?
That would be, yeah, but they don't have anything either.
And that's just it. You're talking about a trade mid-season.
You have the Jets who are willing to wager the future.
Well, the Jets are all in. They'll do anything.
So they'll trade a first-round pick for Davante. The Packers have players they can trade. The Cowboys have a player that they could trade in Micah Parsons,
which we talked about a couple weeks ago now.
So yes, there are moves that could be made from all three of those teams. The Chiefs don't have a move, and that's not going to happen. I don't know what Washington has because it's a young team. You can't really give up picks. You're not really in a win-now mode. And you have Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
So the Packers, Jaden Reed's more of a slot guy.
He is.
And so you're not taking snaps from him at all. The Cowboys, you're really taking CeeDee Lamb's spot if you go there. In Washington, you're really taking Terry McLaurin's spot if he goes there. The Jets, you're taking Garrett Wilson's spot, but I think they're okay with that. And I think that would help Garrett Wilson in the long run.
You too.
In Green Bay, there's an open slot there for him. And again, this isn't being a Packers fan. If you actually look at it, you have Jaden Reed. It would take Wick's spot. But again, dude can't catch the damn ball.
Well, you still have Wicks. You have Melton.
Practice squad player. Heath, practice squad player. I mean, really, what do you have? You have Romeo Doubs, who knows what's going on there. You have Wicks, and you have a bunch of practice squad guys.
Christian Watson.
Yeah, who's hurt all the time.
I mean, the big receiver right now is Kraft.
You have an amazing tight end.
Amazing tight end.
In Kraft.
Who is hopefully will stay on the trajectory. He's looking like Kittle and Kelsey, and he could get there.
Who killed me in fantasy football
as well weekend. He should, because that's a goofy game.
Absolutely killed me in fantasy football this week. So bothered me beyond belief.
Where do you think Adams ends up?
Las Vegas.
You think he's going to stay?
I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think the Raiders are going to trade him.
I think they're going to trade him. I think he'll end up in the Jets, with the Jets.
If he does go anywhere, I honestly think it's going to be the Jets. As a Packer fan, my wish would be that he'd come to Green Bay. I think it would change the dynamics of that team completely, because there was just so many drop balls last week. So many drops, mainly by Wicks. And it would change that dynamic. I think that would be great to have him home. I just want to see him selfishly break down Hudson's record.
Yeah, I would too.
And I'd love to see his number get retired at that point and him just be in the Green Bay family forever. Not that he won't be now, but it would cement his place in Green Bay.
Well, it takes him from being a Packer Hall of Famer to a Packer all-time great with his number up on the rafters, and 17's never worn again.
Which I want to see happen. So selfishly, that's why I want him to come home. But I think New York is the place he's going to end up. You sent me something the other night, speaking of Packer royalty.
Okay.
I do have a question on one thing before we get into this.
I send you a lot of things. You never watch them.
Well, I don't, because you sent me at 2 in the morning. This you also sent me at 2 in the morning, but I happened to watch it because I saw who it was about. You wake up 6:30 every single morning.
Yeah. Our alarm goes off at 6:07.
You send me articles every night at 2, 3 in the morning.
Okay.
Do you sleep?
I do. I've developed insomnia over the last probably 5 or 6 years. I don't know why. But, I mean, part of it is I play golf on my tablet.
Well, there's the answer. There's no wonder why.
But, and then I can't sleep, and so then I'm looking at
and so more blue light and more blue light and more blue light.
Stop it. But if it's the one I think you're talking about, he is Packer royalty.
Yes.
He was an outstanding quarterback.
Yes.
Am I still on the right track?
You are.
Okay. And he may have made it if the stars had aligned differently.
Yes.
We may never heard of Brett Favre.
You know the one I'm talking about. Don Majkowski.
The Magic Man, one of the best mullets of the late 80s.
Still the last Packer quarterback to lead the league in passing yards. And we've had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers the last 30 years.
People forget how really, really good he was.
Yeah.
Holmgren would have made him an all-pro quarterback.
Got hurt. And I didn't realize, and this is what you showed me in that video, that I didn't know how hurt he actually got.
Yeah, he was playing. He was playing against Cincinnati. It was the day that Favre came in. So essentially, Majkowski is the Wally Pipp of football. Wally Pipp being the guy that Lou Gehrig took over for. But in this case, it wasn't a headache. He broke his ankle, and he broke it so badly that he had 11 surgeries.
Yeah, and at one point was seriously considering getting his foot amputated.
Yeah, he looked at his wife and goes, I want to check on just having this foot amputated. The pain was so bad.
That's just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy.
And the fact, and he built a successful business.
Yep.
But the pain had to be unbelievable. And granted, they finally figured out a surgery that would fix him.
Yeah.
And that's the best news, and I'm glad for him. But it's just one of the great what-ifs, not just of the Packers, but of the NFL, where this guy could have went, because he had magic in him.
He did.
He was a great passer. He could run. He had vision. Aaron Rodgers, the other thing I loved was that Brett Favre sent him a football helmet.
Yeah.
And what did it say on there? I hope I didn't let you down.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a chance. I hope I didn't let you down.
Yeah.
And he actually has that in his house on display. It's a Packer helmet, and I think that is, I mean, talk about that. That's a man's man.
That's a class act.
Like, that's, like, it is what it is. But I think it also helps in that situation that he really couldn't come back. He went to the Colts for a little bit, but just couldn't stay healthy. He snapped that thing almost in two.
And back during that time, they didn't have a good way to repair it.
I don't know if you do now. Ankles are such a sensitive thing. They really are.
Well, he found a surgeon that was, and they showed the x-ray.
11 screws.
and a titanium plate.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks nasty.
Yeah.
But it obviously is taking away the pain. I would love to have Don come on the show at some point
and talk about it, because you and I have both been in situations personally where we've gotten to that point.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, I'm done with this. I don't care if you have to take off a limb to make this stop.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care what the answer is. Do it, because I'm not living life like this.
Can't go through life like this.
And so to find a quarterback that really has been through that same thing and got to the point where he's like, I just don't want a foot.
Right.
I'll figure the rest out. I can't live in pain like this. I'm done. And then to get that answer of like, listen, we can fix you. Give me one more shot. I got this. And for it to actually go through, which is what happened to both you and I. You're back, mine some other issues. And we both ended up getting resolutions that ended up making our way of life much more manageable.
And the biggest thing I think that I got out from Don, because they interviewed his wife on this little short that they did as well, it was about 8 minutes long, was the fact that he got his life back so he could be a good family man and watch his son play baseball and football.
Yeah.
And that was a great part about it. I mean, going through pain and not being able to do things with your kids is no fun.
Right. And
that regret never goes away.
It does not. And he was the quarterback. Brett Favre was not coming in.
No. Mikowski, and I've heard a lot of people saying, well, they had no quarterback. Yes, they did. They had an all-pro.
Yeah.
They had somebody who, it could have been Mikowski to Favre to Rodgers. People forget. I mean, I've said it when Jordan Love was drafted. I said, look, if he's as good as Don Mikowski, I'm happy. I'm good.
Don Mikowski almost won the MVP in '89.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right there, except he played for the Packers, which at that time, you're not winning the MVP.
Lindy Infante was the coach. They made the right move when they brought in Holmgren and Ron Wolf.
Yeah.
But
it changed the franchise.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing story. I highly recommend you go and hear his story because it is outstanding. I found a new wish list for a guest just to talk about, again, what that's like to go through with the foot, and you have this successful career. It's taken away from you completely, and now you have to start over, because that's not just a story about the NFL that we hear all the time. That's a story in life where it's like, this is where my life was going, and then all of a sudden it wasn't going that way anymore, and you got to readjust now.
And he kept his family together, which I think is amazing.
Which doesn't happen very often.
Not all the time. I mean, credit to his wife, but it is a great story of commitment and overcoming. And so, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'd love to have him on the show.
It is. You let us know what you think in the comments below. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. It is time to give our picks that are destined to go wrong. And man, did mine go wrong last week.
So last week, I was once again 3-2.
Yeah,
seems to be a string.
Yeah, it's good. I would like a 3-2.
You want to announce what you were?
I don't.
You were 1-4 last week. So season to date, I'm 15-10. You're 11-14.
Yeah, that really took me down. I was 500 for a second there.
For half a minute.
This is what happens to me every season. I'm not good at this, but I got the Packer game right, and that's the only one I care about. Ouch. That's a rough one.
Yeah, that was a rough one. Okay, this week I think there weren't a ton of games to choose from, but I think I found some good ones. Got the Washington football team, because I refuse to call them the other name, at the Ravens.
It's Commanders is the name.
No, they're Washington football team.
Still the best helmets. I want to see everybody in a matte helmet, by the way.
We were talking about that in the Packer game going, wouldn't that look good with a matte yellow?
Yeah, I fell in love with it with the Vikings. As bad as their fans are, their helmets are great.
The Lions were great.
The Lions mats were great. Washington's maroon matte helmets are great. I just think everybody should go to a matte helmet. They look absolutely outstanding. Jaden Daniels is becoming quite a quarterback.
He's right up there. He's leading right now. He's the leader in the house for the Rookie of the Year.
He's gonna win it hands down. He should have been the #1 overall pick from the looks of it here, but he would have went to Chicago and been destroyed. So I don't know if that would have been the right answer. Baltimore's hanging on tight. Their running game's strong. It's a matter of how long Derrick Henry can hold out. Again, Lamar Jackson, he made some good passes, made some rough ones. I'm nervous about his transition as he gets older. He's still very quick to run, but hey, they're winning. They're absolutely winning with him. I think we're going to see a surprise here, though. I think you're going to see it. They're going to stop the run game. It's a Dan Quinn defense. And I think they're going to stop the run. And if you stop the run against the Ravens, you win that game. I am going with the Washington Commanders here.
Okay, and I'm going to go with the more experienced team. I think the Ravens have a lot to prove yet this season. They won barely, but they won against the Bengals, which surprised me. I think they're going to find a way to win against Washington, so I'm taking the Ravens.
You notice how the hair has gotten darker for Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has gotten better. I made that as a joke, but I think my conspiracy has become very, very true. He can't be blonde. It doesn't help him.
Okay.
It doesn't work.
We got the Chargers at the Broncos.
Broncos are starting to look pretty good. Sean Payton's getting a hold of that team.
Apparently, he and Bo had a screaming match.
Good.
They're both intense.
It's good, though. You want that type of relationship between your coach and your quarterback. You want to have those screaming matches where they say, this is what I'm seeing on the field, yes, but this is what I'm calling. Mm-hmm. If I'm Sean Payton and my new quarterback feels comfortable to do that already, that means I got myself a quarterback. I think that's great. I still think they have a lot of growing. Again, I think the best thing that could happen is what is happening. The Broncos are seeing that Bo Nix is your quarterback of the future, but you're still going to end up with a high draft pick in order to be able to build this team with some really good talent. The Chargers, I don't know what to make of them this year. Justin Herbert hasn't been able to stay healthy. You haven't seen the change that you expected to see with the Jim Harbaugh team. I think this is more of a rebuilding process than Harbaugh realized.
But they're still winning.
I'm taking the Chargers.
I am as well, because I'm not going to bet against Harbaugh. He finds a way to win every single time he's building a new team. This team is the Chargers will win the West.
In college, it's by cheating.
Stop it.
That's how they win.
The Chargers will win the West. If not next year, the year after for sure.
All right, what's the next one?
Lions at the Cowboys.
It's a good game.
Is it? The Cowboys are reeling.
They won.
I know, but they still haven't looked great.
It's a great fourth quarter comeback after a long rain delay.
Yeah.
I stayed up and watched that game. I was like, how late is this? The Lions need to win. I think they really actually do need to win this game. It's on the road against a team they will definitely see in the playoffs, because the Cowboys are going to be a playoff team. I can't go against the Lions in this one. I think the Lions are going to win this game.
And after just saying that the Cowboys are reeling, it's at home.
Yep.
It's a game they really have to win. They need a statement win.
These are two teams that need statement wins right now.
I'm going with McCarthy.
You going with the Cowboys?
I'm going to go with the Cows.
All right. Well, considering your record in mind, that means the Cowboys are going to win.
Next one, great game. It's going to be very interesting now. Bills at the Jets. Jets.
Is Josh Allen slowly becoming the best QB in the entire NFL, or is it just me?
He's a quarterback with the most unique talents any quarterback.
And who said he'd be the best quarterback out of that draft class?
I believe I did.
It was me.
No, I don't
take credit for mine.
I don't think it was you.
It was me. It was definitely me. You have a Bills team that is looking really, really good, a Jets team that is hurting. The Jets desperately need this win, and I trust Aaron Rodgers in a game where he desperately needs a win. I'm going with the Jets.
Not a prayer. Not a prayer. I will not. As much as like Aaron Rodgers, I think he's showing his age, and I just think the Bills they're going to lay the wood on him.
All right. Arizona Cardinals at Packers.
At the Packers. Okay. You want me to go first?
You go first.
Kyler Murray is playing better than I've ever seen him play.
He's making me eat my words.
He is. He seems to understand the offense finally.
Yeah.
He seems to be really on the game, and he's making Arizona play very, very well. However, this is in Green Bay.
It is in Green Bay.
Packers are finding ways to win. They haven't looked good yet at all.
No.
While I think I would not be surprised to see Arizona win, I just think the Packers are going to win.
Arizona could win the division this year. They are looking that good.
Yeah, the Rams and the 49ers. I said the 49ers would take a step back. They certainly have.
Yeah.
Rams are just beat up. They're missing everybody.
Rams have their starting offensive line is basically all hurt. Their top 2 receivers is all hurt, and they're really missing Aaron Donald. Don't forget the Seahawks are in there too. They're sneaky good right now. Geno Smith has more than that team's head above water. But Kyler Murray is just, I mean, I said a lot of bad things about him.
A lot.
And right now I have to eat every last one of those words. He is playing at an MVP caliber right now. I didn't see this coming at all. Like, good for him. Well, I always take the Packers.
Okay.
I never pick against the Packers.
I will pick against.
That's my mantra. I won't.
I will pick against the Packers. However, I think they're going to pull it out this.
Packers have to win this one.
By the way, I just thought of this. Here would be a great trade. Ayuk for Devontae Adams.
To San Francisco?
Yeah.
That would be a really good trade. He would fit into San Francisco real well.
I'd hate it a lot.
Yeah.
But
that could revitalize that team.
I just thought about that. That may be the trade.
Huh. Those are our picks that are clear to go wrong. Don't trust me on this one.
I couldn't think of this when we were talking about the subject. It's just like, oh.
That's how we work. That's why we have a squirrel as our mascot.
That's true.
Or a rat, as I like to tell the kids that those really, really are. We are coming to the end of the show, but as you all know, you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word, so it is all you.
So I couldn't think of anything good for sports, but then again, we've got so much else going on in the country, I think we need to address it. I think it's time for the United States to take a look and decide who's really important. Should we be giving our money to foreign countries like Ukraine or other places that need it? Or is it time to look internally and provide the funds to those Americans who are really hurting? Hurricane Helene decimated North Carolina. A lot of the mountain towns were wiped out. And they can't even get a lousy $700 from their government to help them rebuild. We should be using those billions of dollars we spend elsewhere and give it to the folks up in the mountains and help them rebuild their lives, their businesses. They're Americans. That's where the money should go. Now we're looking at Hurricane Milton coming on shore and looking like it's going to decimate the Tampa area. They're going to need help. That's where our money should be going. We're broke as it is. We're having to borrow to give money to anybody who needs it. It's time that we're borrowing and giving it to the United States citizens who are really in need. My prayers go out to everyone, not only in North Carolina, but my prayers are really going out because my daughter lives in Tampa. I'm hoping Milton takes a turn.
I mean, either way, if it takes a turn away from Tampa, it's still going to hit that coast.
Yeah, prayers are with everybody down there.
It's going to decimate a lot of people. Florida's been taking a hit on the west side.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. And the Gulf has gotten real warm, man. Plant more trees. That is my idea to fix the world. Plant more trees. It sucks up carbon dioxide instead of allowing it more in the atmosphere. So that's my fix, and it's free. Plant a tree. Life will be better. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.